good morning, everybody. Welcome to Hot Takes. Goodman and Haertl. Quite a basketball game last night. Knicks against the Pacers, and what the Knicks had been doing to other teams in the playoffs, coming back late with Brunson Burner. This time it was the Pacers coming back with shades of Reggie Miller, who happened to be sitting courtside for TNT.
Yeah, and who was propping up Halliburton with a knowing look and point after the shot that he hit to get the game into overtime. I got to be honest with you. I know the NBA and Adam Silver are probably just pulling hard for New York and the Knicks, and I get it. I was for the Knicks in the series against the Celtics. I'm for the Pacers in this. I'm for the Pacers and Oklahoma City. Right. Give me Indiana and Oklahoma City in the finals and see all of the television executives just absolutely tear their hair out, and marketers trying to figure out how in the world to do this. Well, you know how they're going to do it? They've got the MVP to talk about. So there you go.
Well, what kind of hair can Adam Silver tear out except for
well said
his back, and I don't know if he has that.
Well said, my friend. Well said.
I'll tell you this. I come from a big city. I grew up in Chicago, and a lot of fans around the country hate big city teams. They hate New York. They hate Chicago. They hate LA, and I totally get it. I've never been a hater of any team. There isn't a team I hate. I don't hate the Chiefs, never hated the Patriots, but I do enjoy when teams lose when their fans are so incredibly obnoxious. Now, in all fairness, for Knicks fans, they haven't won a title in a very long time.
Right.
But going into this Pacers series, and they still might win it, you have the New York media, specifically ESPN, just basically, not penciling in, but penning them in to the NBA Finals. So watching ESPN show at 6 o'clock this morning and looking at the distraught on their face that the Knicks blew a historic lead that late in the game, and they handle it like professionals.
Yeah.
It was pure joy to watch.
Yeah, when I use the term hate, I want to make sure that people understand that it's sports hate. There's a big difference between sports hate and other far more awful, dark places to go with hate that we have in this world. But be that as it may, I'm not a big fan of New York, but here I am. I was pulling for the Knicks against the Celtics, which rubs me the wrong way in that I'm a Red Sox fan, but I'm not a Celtics fan. I'm not a Bruins fan. I've never been a Patriots fan, only the Red Sox. So that's kind of how I roll. The Yankees are the only ones that I really have hate for. And how can I have hate for Mariano Rivera and Derek Jeter and Aaron Judge now, guys that seem to be really good dudes? So I'm in a mess in that regards, but I loved the way that game finished last night. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, and it will drag me into watching game 2 of that series. Right now, I've got 2 NBA Western and Eastern Conference Finals that I got to pay attention to. I had a great comeback in the third period last night with Dallas in the opening game, of their series with Edmonton, which was really good stuff. So we've got some pretty good theater without any of the locals being in it.
Avalanche fans threw up in their mouth in the third period of last night's game against the Oilers, and they're waking up this morning with the awful taste of bile still resonating, thinking this could have been us instead of Dallas, right?
Well, not only that, they've seen this story before all too recently, right? The way that the Stars won last night, you're down 3-1 going to the final period, and all of a sudden you open up a can of you-know-what. I mean, my goodness. Yeah, there's a lot of what-ifs right now for both the Nuggets and the Avs, no question about it.
All right, before we get this thing really rolling, want to tell you about Roller Auction, leader in Colorado auctions for over 45 years. On Tuesday, May 27th, there's an auction for reconditioned power tools, office furniture, cleaning supplies, and more. Bidding is started at rollerauction.com. Get notifications about upcoming auctions at rollerauction.com. Get what you want at the price you want today at Roller Auction. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Early this morning and saw a terrific article by Mike Klis from 9 News sitting down with Bill Schmidt. With that, it was a tough read for me, meaning I was having a very difficult time going line by line, reading the bullshit that Bill Schmidt, another BS guy, was spewing out line after line. Honest to God, Bruce, as I'm reading through this article this morning, I'm thinking, I just can't take it anymore. I just can't take the BS that this guy throws out. I will start it with this. When talking about Dick Monfort, asked about Dick Monfort on what kind of owner he is, he started by saying, Dick's one of the better owners of the game. That is so far from the truth. Ask anybody around baseball. He is easily the worst owner in the game. However, every owner in the league is probably very jealous that Dick Monfort is making money with such a bad baseball club. But the line that really got me, the specific question was, why is Monfort a good owner? And the first words out of his mouth, and generally speaking, the first words out of your mouth are really what you mean more so than anything else. And then if you say something, whether you believe it's true or not, then you start to backtrack or throw in other things. And by the way, I do believe that Bill Schmidt believes what he said, first words out of his mouth. He said about Dick, he's a very, very loyal owner. The loyalty is there. There is a backing from Dick Monfort. Well, no shit. That's why you've kept your job for so long.
Yeah, it is one of the biggest issues that I think most people have trying to look from the outside in about the Rockies is the loyalty. Loyalty in and of itself is a wonderful thing to have, but ineffective loyalty, or when it's not doing anything to build the competitiveness of a franchise, or I think in the Rockies case, when that loyalty has over and over again come up empty for what the Rockies, I think, are trying to do. I think they're trying to win baseball games. I think they're trying to be relevant as a baseball team and as a franchise and organization. I think they're trying to do all of these things. But when you continue to fail in the spectacular fashion, and now frustratingly spectacular fashion that the Rockies are doing it, it rings hollow. And I commend our friend Mike Klis. Well done. It was, but there's nothing new here. It's kind of a move along. This is the same thing that we've been hearing. I mean, I've got nothing personally against Bill Schmidt. I don't know the man personally. I barely know him at all professionally. But the fact of the matter is that he continues to go to the same well over and over again. And there is no evidence that this so-called youth movement and the young guys that we're playing with are suddenly going to come into some degree of competitive maturity and everything is going to be okay again. It's just more of the same stuff. And frankly, I've started to tune it out, Eric. The Rockies will go to like 5 or 6 games. When I say we, my wife and I, my wife likes going to the ballpark. We'll go to 5 or 6 games this year. We'll enjoy the ambiance of the ballpark. I hope that we go on a night that Chase Dolander is pitching. But man, after that, what do you really want to go see? You want to see the nice, beautiful evenings of Colorado, the mountains in the background, a cold beer in your hand, nostalgia and waxing poetic about the pastoral nature of the game of baseball. Those are all very meaningful, wonderful things. I just wish the Rockies were a little more relevant in providing it.
Here's my favorite loser's lament when asked about the 6-game road trip in which they were 1-5. He said, well, it easily could have been 3-3. Oh, okay. The bottom line is you lost. Now let's role play for a second. So when Schmidt was asked about Dick Monfort and he said loyalty, okay, which he's right. Dick Monfort does have a lot of loyalty. Jerry Reinsdorf, the owner of the White Sox and the Bulls, has a lot of loyalty as well. He has been criticized for that as well, but Jerry Reinsdorf has a full trophy case.
Yes.
With a World Series and a whole bunch of NBA championships. With that, I'm going to ask you to play a reporter. We'll call you Bruce Haertl. Okay? Oh. And you ask me, Bill Schmidt, the same question about Dick Monfort, in theory about what I like about him, so on and so forth. And I'm going to give you the honest, unvarnished answer.
Bill, what is it about Dick Monfort that makes him such a good owner?
Well, let's just start with this. When you look at the past front office guys like Dan O'Dowd, Bill Guyvet, the assistant GM, and Jeff Bridich, once they left the Rockies organization, they were never hired by a Major League Baseball team again. I will be next on the list because eventually, if I do get fired, I am out of baseball completely. So I would like to thank Dick Monfort for his loyalty so I can still have a paycheck.
I wouldn't push back on that. And that's unfortunately, that's systematic of the entire franchise. And look, I don't think that we're painting with a broad brush here. This is just the same old thing. Now, it happens to be historically bad, and that's creating a different dynamic to the narrative. I get that. And I'm pulling for them to be historically horrible. I mean, if you're going to be bad, be memorable by being bad. Don't be just middling, for God's sakes. Do something at the outermost of the levels that you can provide. So, but yeah, I would agree. And this is the thing that's the most frustrating, Eric. I don't see the capacity for change in the formula, which means that I don't think that Dick Monfort will ever go kicking and screaming into bringing in different people and different ideas.
Hold on.
All right.
Hold on.
I know. Yeah. According to Bill Schmidt, they're already doing this very quietly.
Okay.
Very quietly. We don't talk about that.
Okay.
Well, okay. Whatever.
Allow me to start reading you some quotes from Bill Schmidt that started getting me more and more aggravated. Okay? This is what really, turned my crank, because this is fresh material now from Bill Schmidt. We have heard him say, I'm frustrated and I feel badly for the fans. Dick Monfort is loyal. We have a lot of good young talent in the farm system, or we have a lot of good young players, okay? But here's some fresh stuff. When he was asked about outside independent help, this one is so rich, it is nauseating. We have, and we do. Now, do we talk about the new guys coming in from the outside and vocalize who they are? No. But we've added people from the outside. Even some would say, hey, Clint Haertl. But Clint Haertl was gone for 12 years before he came back, and he had been with 2 other organizations. We don't talk about it, but we do bring in other people. It might be a scout here, a player development guy here. There's a lot of things that go on that we just don't talk about. Ugh. You're really going to bring up Clint Haertl as a new, fresh voice because he happened to be with the Rangers organization that won a World Series? Really? That's what you are selling us? Honestly, that crap that Clint Haertl is a fresh face just because nobody on the roster was here when Clint was here? I mean, you want to talk about saying something that is so outrageous, just hoping that people will believe it.
Yeah. He's kind of backed into a corner now, isn't he? Really? I mean, he really has nowhere else to go than the answers that he was. What can he say about Dick Monfort through any kind of honest filter. What can he say? A lot of it is self-assessment, right? What's he going to say about himself? I mean, the record is what the record says it is. I mean, the Rockies are beyond a laughing stock. They're a pathetic stock.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they're so irrelevant and so unimportant that they're barely even discussed other than in terms of pity. Is there anything worse than that? Having the pity of teams around the rest of baseball, or not even the pity, just the kind of like, oh yeah, the Rockies. Yeah, I guess they are in the league. I hope we've got a 4-game series with them coming up. That's basically what's happened. And so, I mean, he's put himself into a bit of a corner with really no way out short of something miraculous happening with a team that is now, 8-41? It's not going to happen.
Sometimes you want to look at Bill Schmidt and say, what color is the sky in your world? Because the sky in my world is usually blue unless there are some clouds. You are burning red. That is the color of your sky. When he was asked about the franchise success, he said, we had winning teams here throughout the years. Now, you would think that when you say throughout the years, you would say that's at least half. You know, that's the insinuation. We've had a lot of winning. We're just not winning now. He goes on to say, you go back to 07, 08, and 09. And then in the teens, we had some success. Let's start it off with 07, the greatest story I've ever covered in professional sports, which was a total and abject aberration. It was an aberration. That's exactly what it was. They were roughly a 500 team in mid-September. They just happened to go on a hot streak. Good for them. They swept their way through the National League playoffs and then got blown out by the Red Sox. No fault of their own.
Right.
The Red Sox were a better team. In those 3 years he mentioned, they went to the playoffs twice and didn't get out of the division round. One game in 09. But my favorite one was, and we had some success in the teens. By what metric did you have success? See, here's the thing about what Bill Schmidt is saying, and quite frankly, a lot of owners and GMs and coaches who lie don't want you to do. Fact check. So let me fact check you, Bill. 2011 to 2020. Those are the teens, if I'm not correct. Let's take out the COVID year in 2020. Of those 9 seasons, 7 were losing seasons. 6 of them, 88 losses or more. They went to the playoffs twice. So with that, we've had some success in the teens. By what metric, you idiots? By what metric? See, you don't want a guy like me fact-checking you. You just want to put it out there, have somebody read it, and somebody believe, well, they have had some success in the past. They're just going through hard times now. No. The Rockies, when they lose another 100 games this season, will be one of 2 or 3 teams in the modern era to have 3 consecutive 100-loss seasons. And this one, almost undoubtedly, barring an act of divine intervention, will have the worst record in modern Major League history. We'll have and by the way, modern Major League history is only like you go back 50 years. In the 21st century, it'll be the worst record by far. But they had some success in the teens.
The both wild card years, they won 1 game in those 2 years, and then were swept by Milwaukee in very unspectacular fashion. So I would agree. That's not even cherry picking. It's all you've got. And those 2 clubs were fun to follow. I'm not going to deny it. 17 and 18 were good years. 18, they were a good ball club in 18. They actually tied the Dodgers, remember, for the division title and then lost in a 1-game playoff to the Dodgers to decide the seeding, then won a playoff game against the Cubs before they were swept in that first round series with Milwaukee. I had someone the other day, and I've had a couple of people say, well, the Astros had three. The Astros
Totally different.
The Astros were building and developing. They were giving us Springer and Altuve and Bregman, and the list goes on and on. And they were going on and winning championships. And don't bring up the, banging of the garbage can. I mean, I get it. The Astros to this day, by what they did then, are still a relevant competitive championship club.
Let me put something into perspective. The Astros made a conscious effort to tear everything down,
right?
Trade away some pretty good veteran talent to bring back some really good young talent. That was a conscious effort. They knew that they were going to be bad. They had a direction, and part of that direction was intentionally tanking to get great young talent, higher draft picks as well. This is what is so sad, and I'm not using this word too strongly. What is so pathetic about the Rockies organization, they will not have a top 10 pick this year.
Right.
Because there's a rule in Major League Baseball, which is essentially called the tanking rule. You cannot be bad for X number of years and then still hope to get a top pick. The problem for the Rockies is they are not trying to tank. That's what is so sad. This is just who they are. They're really that bad, and they are really this historically bad. And Schmidt was asked, why they're historically bad. Well, Tovar was out for a month. And our second baseman, who we were going to bring in, who we thought was going to be our starter, he was out for a little while as well. Dude, for a good part of the season, if you want to talk about your youth movement, you've had 3 guys regularly in the starting lineup who are in their mid-30s.
Right. Hunter Goodman.
Who are you bullshitting, Bill? Seriously, he puts this garbage out there hoping nobody fact checks a box score and a roster. And you see you have 3 guys in their 30s for a good part of the early part of the season, still kind of going on right now, that we aren't going to figure this out. This is like a political campaign where we need to fact check you in real time.
The irony is that, and kudos for you for doing it, you don't even really need to fact check. You don't even really need to do it. You just know it, right? You just know it. And this is the thing this is where I have gotten, and you know how I am. I'm a baseball guy. I want the Rockies to be just anything more than what they are, because you and I both understand what a baseball team can do for a city and area, because you're with them for 162 games. The season builds differently than any other professional sport. It just does. And the investment that you get in a ball club is totally different than you do in other sports, because it's a day-to-day operation, and you basically start fresh with every day. Here's the thing, the most tired thing now, and nobody has a pushback for it from the organization, but this is the thing that probably I would think would be concerning them the most right now, because what is the call right now? We're young and talented. Well, you're young in some places. You're young. Get back to me on the talented, because I'm not sure about that yet. And in fact, I would say there's not a tremendous amount of empirical proof that is true. I will give Hunter Goodman his flowers. He may be their all-star, and Bill did allude to that in the article, admitting that there would be one all-star. He did say our all-star. It's damn shame that there's not more than one option, because there has to be. But other than that, Tolia. I mean, how do those 20 home runs look that he had in the last, 2 months of last season? I mean, he did it at the end of last season. Now he's up for a full season. What is he doing? Now you go around the roster, and quite frankly, there's not a lot of examples of young, good players. Young, yes, but there's a difference between young and good or young and promising. I don't think we're even to the promising part yet.
Coming up after the break, Nikola Jokic does not win the MVP. No surprise there. With that, he probably doesn't care that he won another MVP. But why do the fans and media care so much? That's next. Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corned bake. Man, you gotta try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Spice up your next night out at Nola Jane and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a Ford Bronco Raptor or nearly $30,000 in cash the weekend of May 23rd. Get finalist entries from 10 a.m. until midnight during their daily cash drawings every 45 minutes or by redeeming player points. And all daily cash drawings that don't get picked are eligible for a second chance drawing on Wednesdays, and that can turn into extra cash. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar. Welcome back. Hot Takes with Goodman and Haertl. Memorial Day is barreling up fast on us. And what are you going to do when you have friends over? You could do a little barbecuing if you want to, or you can go to the best barbecue spot in town and cater in. Highly recommend Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. Order in from them. Get a full slab of ribs. Get 2 slabs of ribs. You have different choices of ribs as well. How about some pulled pork? How about some fresh brisket? Maybe some chicken wings. Throw in some sides with that. How about some macaroni and cheese, which is absolutely outstanding. Coleslaw, mashed potatoes. Their fries are great. Bring in homemade desserts. It's not like it's just a chocolate chip cookie and a piece of saran wrap. They have all kinds of fresh desserts as well. So if you're going to do up Memorial Day right, highly recommend, if you don't want to cook, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. You can find them off of 36 in Pecos. And oh, by the way, when you go to Estes Park, it's like a Starbucks on every corner. Seriously, they're in Lyons, they're in Estes Park, they're all over the place. Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. Go check them out. Time now for What's Trending.
What's trending on Hot Takes with Goodman and Haertl? Brought to you by Mile High Sports.
Start with this. Are you surprised that SGA got 70% of the first place votes?
I mean, I guess 70% would be probably worth a little bit of a double take, but I would have been more surprised if Nikola Jokic had won this award at all. Even though I think he's the best candidate. I think he is the most valuable. But we saw this one coming midway through the season.
Okay. Why do you think that fans and media care more about Jokic winning the MVP than Jokic probably cares about winning the MVP?
Because I think it's some sort of reflection for fan bases on them, right? I mean, right? It's like somehow, your guy helps define you as a fan base. I mean, I guess I get that to some degree. My deal is I wouldn't care about it anyway, and I sure as hell don't care about it because I know Nikola doesn't care about it. And you said it, that probably doesn't care about it. I'll guarantee you Nikola Jokic doesn't care about this. He talked about it after the game. He's talked about it in the postseason. He's extremely happy with the season that he had. He felt like he accomplished a great deal, that the experience with the Olympics, playing with different guys, he talked about this directly, led to him improving his game. And I think that he felt good about that improvement. Whether or not it creates an MVP or not, to him, I think is immaterial. Let him drink his beer for a couple of days, get him on a flight back to Sambor, get him to his horses, and let him get away from basketball for a little bit.
I'm going to take something that you said at the beginning of your comment and use it by illustrating a television commercial. The Gatorade television commercial for Michael Jordan, Be Like Mike. The first set of lyrics. Sometimes I dream that he is me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what fans do. Listen, why do fans and media want Jokic to win another MVP? Because it's all about what sports is essentially. One big argument. Who is better? If he wins the MVP, my guy's better than your guy. My guy's better than your guy. No, we didn't win a championship, but my guy is better than your guy. And that's what it really boils down to. All of us have friends who live in other cities, have friends who are basketball fans of other teams. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you went to the NBA Finals and you lost. That's fine. New York fan, Indiana fan. We got the best player in the world.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I love it just in general when you have sports, like my father will say to me, like if the Broncos lose a game and they get drilled, and that has happened more than a few times before the Sean Payton era. Right. What happened to your team? Dad, I don't remember playing. I wasn't out there.
You weren't working on the tush push for the Broncos. Still legal, by the way, despite the Broncos' dissenting vote. But be that as it may, yeah, it should be. I digress nonetheless. Look, I've got no problem with SGA. SGA is a phenomenal player. He really is. He on so many different levels. He seems like a likable guy. Wish he didn't hunt free throws and fouls as much as he does. I understand the anger and the criticism about the flopping. Okay, I totally understand that, but and this is lazy analysis, and I will excuse myself for using it before I even say it. He is the best player on the best team. There is an element of that in this decision, and there is an element of what you and I talk a lot about, Jokic fatigue. He's won 3 of the last 4. He's the guy that we're always talking about. They finished 4th this season. I would argue that makes an even better argument for Jokic, to be really honest, but that's getting more into the weeds. So I'm fine with SGA. Give him his flowers. I don't think anyone would disagree with it. There were probably some people that are pretty, active and loyal to Nikola or to him, but get off with it.
I don't disagree, I suppose, with SGA. And I'll certainly won't disagree with he's the best player on the best team. But he's not the best player in the league.
No, he's not.
And he's not the most valuable player to his own team either.
Right.
So I guess the question is, what should the criteria be? I mean, because it seems like now we have a third level. The first level was back in the day, best player in the league. Then it was, if you took him off your team, how good is your team? Now it is best player on best team.
Doesn't have to have a criteria, Eric. You touched upon what makes this so good. The fact that you can sit and argue about things like this with someone anywhere in the country at any particular point, and it fits the purpose of Barstool Sports, right? I mean, it allows you to have, hopefully, good-natured back and forth with one another, but still, at the end of the day, to leave with your sensibilities intact. My guy's the better guy. I don't care if your guy won it, even though I can understand why he might have won it. My guy's still the best guy. I mean, I feel that way about Nikola Jokic. I know you do too.
Yeah.
But you know what? Okay. Congratulations, SGA. That a boy.
I want to go back in history when looking at the MVPs. Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell were the best players in the 1960s, and it seemed like one or the other was the MVP. Kareem dominated the 1970s, specifically with MVP awards. Magic and Bird dominated the 80s with MVP awards. Jordan dominated the 1990s with MVP awards. Really no dominant player from 2000 to 2009. Then LeBron and Curry won the majority of the MVP awards from 2010 to 2019. One thing that we are seeing here is, I don't think there is any question at all through the opening part of this decade, Nikola Jokic is by far and away the most dominant player of this decade. And the only guy who can say, check please, check me out, would be Giannis. That would be it. But Jokic every single year has either been first or second, and I don't see any reason why outside of injury that is going to slow down. So when I rattled off all of those great players who dominated their decade, and there's 8 of them, with simple math, is it too simple to say Jokic is no worse than 9th of all time? No worse than 9th because he dominated his decade?
Do you provide any pushback to the statement that he is clearly a top 10 player of all time now, as he sits here today?
He is he a top 10 all-around player of all time? No, he's not. He's a good defensive player, but he's not Akeem. He is not Jabbar. He is not Wilt. He is not Russell. He is not Jordan. He is not LeBron. He is not Kobe defensively. Then again, if you want to stick Steph Curry in there as a top 10 player, have at it. He's the greatest shooter of all time. He's as good defensively as Jokic is defensively. So you got to at least be fair about it. But when it comes to his offensive acumen and what he does with, by the way, scoring, rebounding, assist, steals.
Yes.
That's a defensive stat.
Yes, I believe that is, right? Yeah.
So he's an average to better than average defender. But on one side of the floor, outside of Wilt, he's the greatest player of all time.
And
let me say that again. Outside of Wilt Chamberlain, Nikola Jokic is the greatest offensive player to ever play the game.
His skill set is so unique and so developed.
Yes.
And there's evidence that it's getting better. He's finishing second in the MVP this year, fine. But statistically, by just about any measure, any metric, this was his best year of his career.
I'm going to say this, and it's blasphemous, especially being from Chicago. Give me an area where Michael Jordan is better than Jokic offensively. One. You could say scoring.
Scoring, probably.
No. And
Scoring and clutch scoring.
I mean, hold on. Stand by.
Yeah.
For starters, Jokic can score more if he wanted to.
Well, we know that, but I mean, in terms of what they've done.
Just because Michael Jordan scored 33 points a game, a guy who always wanted the ball in his hands, certainly early on in his career, didn't want to give it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
He scored because, like Kobe, he wanted to score more.
Yeah.
All right?
Right.
And, oh, by the way, Jordan also had Scottie Pippen next to him. That certainly helped. If Jokic wanted to average 35 points a game, he could. He would just probably have about 7 assists a game.
Yeah. Yeah, he could, but he doesn't. That's not how he chooses to play. So you asked me what makes where is Jordan ahead? I would say Jordan is ahead as a scorer, even though that was his goal to be a scorer. And I think, and it's impossible to separate his clutch scoring in the moments. And he's been in more moments, right? I mean, they won.
Jokic is a pretty good clutch shooter.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah?
He is a great clutch shooter, but we're comparing him to Michael Jordan. Look, I would agree with you, Eric. I'm in your foxhole. He's a great clutch scorer.
All I'm saying is offensively, Michael Jordan is by far and away the better all-around player because he's one of the greatest defensive players of all time, as well as being arguably the greatest offensive player of all time.
Yeah. I would say that's right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not ready to put him, Nikola Jokic, on that level, but there aren't many levels that I wouldn't put him on and say, this guy belongs here. Move over, make room. He's going to throw an elbow if you don't because he belongs. And which gets us to Josh Kroenke, who is meeting the media today at the end of season.
Yep.
And here we are, 2 years removed from a championship. The Nuggets have not been back to a Western Conference final.
Let me ask you something real quick because we got to run.
Yes.
Does Jokic have to win another title to be considered one of the all-time greats? He's considered.
No, I don't. My mind has changed on that a little bit.
Yeah, but you're a local guy.
You're right. You're right. I would agree with
nationally.
you. Yeah.
Every guy rattled off with those MVPs have all won multiple titles. You got to, if you want the national media to refer to you as one of the greatest players of all time, you got to have twins.
I don't disagree. However, I would say that Jokic is so unique that even national guys begrudgingly sometimes acknowledge it.
It's about winning. Again, going back to something I just said.
Yeah.
It's about winning the argument. It's sitting on a bar stool next to your friend who is a big fan of Magic Johnson. Okay? Well, Magic Johnson is one of the greatest players of all time. I know Jokic is one of the greatest players of all time. Who won more titles? You want to be able to have that ammunition to say at least you won two.
You do.
And again, my argument against my buddy with Magic Johnson is he did play with Kareem and Worthy.
Here's what I'm going to say in closing about Nikola Jokic, and this I say with certainty, even though it's a hot take.
Ooh, we should name the show that.
Yes, it might work. Hot takes with Goodman and Haertl. Nikola Jokic has worked the hardest for the respect that he now deserves and commands than any player in the history of the game. He has had to work harder to get to the point that he is right now, where the easy acclamation pretty much nationally is that he's the best player in the world. That is, to me, remarkable when you stop to think about where he came from. And the early arguments, Nikola Jokic, are you kidding me? Now look at where he is, generally described and described as the greatest player in the world. No one is even going to argue. SGA probably doesn't even argue that. I think that that's remarkable in and of itself. Just the work, and it's not what he started out to do. He just loves to play basketball.
Can I tell you something? Something
Sure.
just occurred to me. Taco Bell is missing out.
Oh my God, no kidding, right?
The greatest marketing opportunity they've ever had in the history of the business. All they have to do is a 30-second spot of the NBA draft saying Jokic is the pick. It's a Taco Bell commercial. Dissolve to Jokic eating Taco Bell.
Absolutely.
Write some clever copy. And
doesn't get any simpler than that, does it?
Who are their marketing executives that are missing out on that opportunity? They should all be fired.
Yeah.
Speaking of fired, we might get some more details on why Booth and Malone were fired today when Josh Kroenke meets the media. We'll address that tomorrow. Make it the best possible day you can.